In the latest Nintendo Direct, we got a bunch of announcements and news. For starters, Super Nintendo games have finally been added to the Switch's online library. The Switch's online subscription launched about a year ago, and one of the benefits of being a member was you got classic NES games for free. Since its launch, NES games have been added to the library every month, and many people, myself included, eagerly awaited for SNES games to be added to the Switch. Well, it's here. We have 20 Super Nintendo games, including A Link to the Past, Super Metroid, and my childhood favorite, Super Mario World. As awesome as this all is, there is a bit of bad news as well. Nintendo has plans to keep adding NES and SNES games in the future, but they won't be delivered on a monthly basis anymore, which is kind of a bummer. Next up, we gotta get some GameCube and Wii games on the system. Come on, let's make it happen, Nintendo. As for other highlights in the Direct, the Switch continues to receive a lot of port support, which is awesome. Divinity Original Sin 2 was announced and released the same day as the Direct. It even supports cross-saves for owners of the Steam version as well. Vampire is coming to the Switch in October. Assassin's Creed The Rebel Collection, which includes Black Flag and Rogue, comes out in December. If the performance is good, I might actually pick that up. Deadly Premonition is now on Switch, with the second one coming out in 2020. Though it was leaked earlier than the Direct, one of my favorite announcements was Overwatch is finally coming to the Switch. I have played a ton of Overwatch on PS4 since its launch. I've fallen off it for a while now, but I'm excited about jumping back in, and I really hope the performance is solid. Lastly, Nintendo showed off a lot of first-party stuff, which was great to see. More Smash Bros. Content, and the definitive edition of Xenoblade Chronicles was announced. I've never played Xenoblade before, but I've heard amazing things, so I definitely want to try it out. Not too long ago, we got some more Cyberpunk gameplay. It gave more of a look at the city and how you can approach missions in different ways. It's also been confirmed that a multiplayer mode is in the works, though it won't be there at launch. Before the multiplayer mode is released, players will first get free single-player add-ons. They've also once again confirmed the game is played in first person to deliver immersion. They say you can still see your character in mirrors and the menus. My question for you guys, does it bother you that it's not in third person? The third person option would be nice, but I'm expecting a great game nonetheless. CD Projekt Red even said we're getting more Witcher games, which is awesome. I know this next one's a bit old, but I want to touch on the gameplay reveal of Marvel's Avengers. We got a 20-minute look, and I gotta say I was very underwhelmed. It's coming out May of next year, so they're still working on it, I get that, but based off my first impressions, the visuals look great, but I'm not liking the gameplay. There's a lot of flash, but it looks like the game is playing itself. It looks stiff, and in my opinion, just doesn't look fun. We got a little Hulk trailer recently too, and I'm still not on board. Curious to hear your thoughts though on Marvel's Avengers so far. Out of nowhere, Nintendo announced a new fitness accessory for the Switch. So far, there's only a trailer with more info coming September 12th. This is like the Wii Fit, and I can't say I'm the market here, but hey, I'm all for people wanting to get active, and a way to do so while playing games is great. Joker has been receiving a ton of praise. It's been doing very well at festivals, so well in fact that one group at the Venice Film Festival gave it an 8-minute standing ovation. Who stood there and timed the clapping, I have no idea, but here's what I do know. I am pumped for this movie. It's my most anticipated movie of this year. Above all, I can't wait to see Phoenix's portrayal of the Joker. So the Joker ended up winning the Golden Lion for Best Film at the Venice Film Festival. Some of the past year's winners include Roma and The Shape of Water. If you were to tell me years ago that Todd Phillips, the director of Old School, The Hangover, Due Date, would go on to create a critically acclaimed Joker movie, there's no way I would have believed you. In his victory speech, Todd Phillips thanked Warner Bros. And DC for stepping out of their comfort zone and taking such a bold swing on me and this movie. He also gave much thanks to Joaquin Phoenix, saying there is no movie without him. Joker releases October 4th of this year. In my review of Far From Home, I was just talking about how everything was going so amazingly for everyone's favorite neighborhood Spider-Man, and then he got kicked out of the MCU. This has been talked to death by this point, but to fill you in quickly, Sony owns the license to the Spider-Man films. To get Spider-Man into the MCU, Sony and Disney teamed up. Sony would get 95% of the proceeds, Disney would get 5%. After a couple of movies, Disney demanded a 50-50 split, Sony said no. There was a time where it was still up in the air if they could reach an agreement, while now Sony's CEO has stated, for the moment, the door is closed. Basically, Sony is just going to do their own thing with Spider-Man. The CEO also stated, "Spider-Man was fine before the event movies." I disagree. Spider-Man 3 to The Amazing Spider-Man 2 were not fine. Overall, here's what I think. I do think 5% is surprisingly low, and Disney should have gotten more. And of course, I would love Spider-Man to be in the MCU. But that being said, I'm still trying to stay positive. At the end of the day, what I want are amazing Spider-Man movies. Even without the MCU's touch, I think we can get amazing superhero films. Sony did Into the Spider-Verse, for example, which was excellent. I know it's a series, but Sony also did The Boys, which is also excellent. Venom, on the other hand, was pretty bad. But Sony has implied Venom and Spider-Man will be on the screen together at some point, so that's awesome. And maybe another good thing here, and I might be reaching, is we're going to get more Spider-Man films more consistently. Think about it, the MCU is so large, they have to make time for all the heroes. I think all we can really do is wait and see how Sony plays its cards. What's interesting is Sony bought the rights to the Spider-Man films back in 1999 for $7 million. Far From Home alone grossed over $1 billion so far. This is a character you don't want to give up. Anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts. That concludes this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Go ahead and share your thoughts on any of the stories, keep the discussion going, and as always, thanks for watching.